Shalom. Okay, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Rakakadash. Okay. Double honors to our apostles of Great Millstone, elders of GMS. Salutation, peace, and blessings to the hopeful elect of the children of Israel. Okay. Right here is an illustration of a slave being punished for reading and teaching his family how to read and teaching other slaves how to read. And in some cases, they would even fine and punish the slave masters as well that taught the slaves how to read or write. Okay. A lot of the widespread practices with the slave masters, they wouldn't teach the slave how to do both. It would be one or the other, you know, for the sole purpose of running errands, like teaching them how to write, but not necessarily knowing, which sounds crazy in itself, but teach them how to write, but not knowing how to read what they're writing. You know, like having a personal secretary, but trying to limit as much as the slave's understanding, trying to limit it as much as possible. And that was the whole objective, was to limit his understanding so he won't seek any higher learning and higher understanding. Or because usually when the slave was to learn how to read and write, it led to him questioning more and more and applying those scriptures to himself. And that was an example of how a lot of the slave masters would read the Bible to the slaves. You know, would read the Bible to the slave, but wasn't giving them no understanding. But he would tell the slave, this is us. These scriptures are applied to us, the white man. So pretty much the slave master was giving the slaves the understanding, his understanding, further keeping them into that mental slave state. So with them controlling the thinking of the slaves, they can pretty much keep that state of mind of rebellion and revolting in check. Using Nat Turner as the perfect example. When Nat Turner learned how to read and write, what did he do? He organized a revolt. And you know the story of Nat Turner. You know, ultimately, don't you know they actually ate parts of Nat Turner? And that was witchcraft. That was witchcraft being performed. You eat part of your enemy, you think you're going to have total control over them, you know? But this white man sitting back, damn, we did all this, and they still learned who they are. You can't stop these prophecies, man. Let me grab me a scripture here. Just like I know. Let me grab me a scripture here. And this is all prophesied for the children of Israel to learn who they are. How Apostle Tahar put it, how can those small hats apply this to them? Once they can't. Hosea 3:4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their power, and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. And we're living in those latter days now, where we're returning to the Lord. You know, you don't, and just imagine, this devil knows this. He's sitting back and he's knowing that these elites are sitting back and they knowing this, that damn, after all this we've done, they still figured out who they were. You know, you can't stop the Lord and his word, man. You can't stop it. So here's an example of that here. This is also what prompted James Madison to write centuries later, during almost 15 centuries has the legal establishment of Christianity been on trial? What has been its fruits, more or less, in all places? Pride and indolence in the clergy, ignorance and servility in the laity, in both superstition, bigotry, and persecution. Of course, in the newly formed United States, the same form of control and persecution existed. Many states had specific laws prohibiting the educations of persons of color. Listen to this. The state of Georgia Penal Code read, punishment for teaching slaves or free persons of colors to read, in any slave, if any slave, Negro, or free person of color, or any white person shall teach any other slave, Negro, or free person of color to read or write, either written or printed characters, the said free person of color or slave shall be punished by fine and whipping, or fine or whipping, at the discretion of the court. And in most cases, dealing with the Negro, a lot of them were put to death. All right, a lot of them were put to death. Again, like I was mentioning, a lot of times the slave master would read to the slaves, and the slave would literally, sometimes in most cases, would ask questions. This has always been going on. The slave during slave times would ask questions to the slave master. In most cases, the slave master would never answer. He would just close the book and walk away. Put the book up. Slave would see where he put the book. And when found an opportunity, the slave would actually go and look at that book and go copy down what he read. You know, copy it, trace. Hide that piece of paper, whatever they written down. Well, anyway, the slave would go and pick up that book and try and read it. Because what the slave was doing, the scriptures that the slave master was reading to the slave is thinking in his mind, oh, wait, this sounds like us. This sounds like me. That's a spiritual thing that was going on. That the slave knew in his spirit that, wow, these things are, man, they sound like me. Sound like I can apply this to me. So let's go. This is heavy. Education during the slave period in the United States. During the era of slavery in the United States, the education of enslaved African Americans, except for religious instructions, was discouraged and eventually made illegal in most of the southern states. After 1831, the revolt of Nat Turner, which I mentioned, the prohibition was, so after Nat Turner, they kicked up, they turned it up, you know, discouraging blacks from slaves. They turned up that effort, you know. It was a nationwide effort. The prohibition was extended in some states to free blacks as well. Slave owners saw literacy as a threat to the institution of slavery and their financial investments in it. As a North Carolina statute stated. So, you know what? The thing is with this devil's about to experience the same damn thing. You know, that beastly state, he's going right back to it, man. Not knowing how to read nor write. As of North Carolina statute stated, teaching slaves to read and write tends to excite seems to excite dissatisfaction in their minds. And that's what I mentioned. To excite. Cause strong feelings of enthusiasm and eagerness in someone. Bring out or give rise to a feeling or reaction. So, and to produce insurrection and rebellions. Literacy enabled the enslaved to read the writings of abolitionists, which discussed to abolish slavery and described the slave revolution in Haiti, so on and so on, 1791, 1804. That's with, if I'm correct, Demna Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, Toussaint Louverture, Israelites. And the end of slavery in the British Empire in 1833. It also allowed slaves to learn that thousands of enslaved individuals had escaped, often with the assistance of the Underground Railroad, which was bullshit, the safe refuge in the northern states of Canada. Just go down some more. Let's read this here. The more you improve the condition of these people, the more you cultivate their minds. Now look at what's going on now, where the slaves were eager to learn to read and write, but now that's the last thing that's on their mind. Learning how to read, learning how to read and learn some history, man. Lazy ass jakes, man. Prefer to have someone just tell them, and that's what we witness a lot of. A lot of these jakes are regurgitating out of what they heard, not what they've read, but what they hear. And a lot of them may read a lot of these books, but the books with the scriptures tell you, Ecclesiastes 12, and I'm sure it was 12 and 12, will tell you to be admonished about making of many books. There is no end. There is no end. So Jake pick up these books and just get carried away with it and lead to further and further confusion, which actually that's what the scripture even say. Here, let me grab that. The wariness. And further by these, my son, to be admonished of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. That wariness, man. That wariness is the word that I'm looking for. That's the word I wanted. Weariness. And tiring. Man, this is leading nowhere. This is not getting me nowhere, man. Come on. So they lose faith, lose patience. And all together, they just continue, discourage them to the point where they don't even work at all. As far as reading and studying. The scriptures tell you, read Read the book of the Lord and read, and it shall not fail. None of these shall fail. The more you improve the condition of these people, the more you cultivate their minds, the more miserable you make them in their present state. You give them a higher relish for those privileges which they can never attain, and turn what we intend for a blessing, slavery, into a curse. No, if they must remain in their present situation, keep them in the lowest state of degradation and ignorance. And this devil has stepped up his game. Give them many books, many foolish books. All the the scriptures mention not being defiled by women, meaning all these different crazy philosophies and so on and so on. This devil has stepped up his game. Allow him to read, allow him to learn, but we gonna give him what to read and learn. So it said, keep them in the lowest state of degradation and ignorance. The nearer you bring them to the condition of brutes, the better chance do you give them of possessing their apathy. We move somewhere else. This motherfucker making all kind. I said, you push record, man, then the fucking demons come out to play. Excuse my language. Excuse my French. Let me grab me another scripture here. Yeah, you push record and the demons come out. I'm already in the book of Hosea here. Well, I was. Yeah, here we go, the book of Hosea, but Hosea 1:9. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. Look that up. Lo-Ami, not my people. Symbolic name given to the prophet for his second son by Gomer. So that's what it is, not my people. Okay, it says here, let me read this again. For ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. During the Renaissance, that was, he turned his back on us. Ye are not my people. So this devil was able to instill his will over us. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Here in Babylon, here in America, where we were whipped, castrated, and burnt, sold into slavery, families separated, our religion, our name, our power was beaten out of us. Here in this land where we are, like it says, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel, these are 12 tribes, Judah and the children of Israel, that's the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, be gathered together And that's what you witnessed, the most beautiful thing that ever happened, man, was that this gathering here. This gathering where these same people are at odds with each other, at war with each other. But you have an elect of these people coming together and with one voice, one mind, prophesying. And it says, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together. Ezekiel 37 chapter, am I correct? That's where it speaks of the sign. And appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, America, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. This devil will spend trillions of dollars, man. Trillions of dollars for us to maintain this state of this dead state. This dead state that we're in. They're spending trillions of dollars on music, entertainment, acting, television, through the education system, socially and politically. This devil is at work, man, and built a system to create a system to continue for us to continue to be down. Why else would you have a high turnout rate for the fools lining up to vote for a damn devil, where the scripture says to never trust thine enemy? So this devil's, his efforts is working somewhat, but it's working on the minds of mainly these women, and these 2/3 period. So the scripture says here, the scripture I'm thinking of is in Deuteronomy. Okay, Deuteronomy 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. The want of all things, man. Jake looking to get enlightened. These niggas, these 2/3 is looking to get enlightened, but they're being enlightened by what the devil giving them, what their actual enemy is giving them. Their actual enemy is giving them the bread and water. And they totally disregard the good bread and water. Here you go. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of Romans. I'm thinking of Romans. Let me see if I can get it. It could be Romans 13. Not 13. Let's try 14. Let me go back. So like I don't have my Bible with me, so it just takes me a moment to find it. Oh, here we go. Romans 11:7. What then? Israel hath not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election have attained it, and the rest were blinded. All right? They continue to rely on their master, man. They continue to rely on their enemy, their actual enemy. You really think the devil is going to give you some positive information that's pretty much condemns him? According as it is written, the Most High have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. And David said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back away. You watch that movie, what is it, 12 Years a Slave? Man, that simple-minded nigga was, simple-minded. He thought he can walk amongst his enemies with that foolish smile on his face. That movie cracks me up, man. But that movie was real. That movie was a reality check, man. Never to trust thine enemies. Ultimately, his freedom and his his ability to read and write actually contribute to his going back into captivity, going back into slavery. Further, nails it into the coffin that, hey, this is not our rest. Let me grab me another scripture here. Let's try Zechariah, which that's my Hebrew name. Zechariah, which means Yahweh remembers. Zechariah. I sometimes pronounce it wrong myself, but that's my Hebrew name, Zechariah. Zechariah 10:8, I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them. We were redeemed back by the blood of Yahushua. The elect were redeemed back by the blood of our Messiah, man, Yahushua. And it's kind of funny, cracks me up how a nigga puts himself in this place here. A nigga, man. He think the Most High, he think the Lord died on the cross for a nigga. This is the elect. That's what I always say, man. This book is speaking to the elect, man. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, the four corners of the earth, where the Lord has done scattered us, as a curse and a reproach. And they shall remember me in a far country, and they shall live with their children and turn again. And I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them, and shall not slack it. But the point 8 and 9, and they shall live with their children and turn again. Here you go. Here you go. Slack. Oops. Here we go. Close with this last scripture here. See, the whole time, what people don't understand, these devils, they knew who they were the whole time. And they knew who we were this whole time. So there was a great, massive, worldwide effort, man, to keep the children of Israel stuck on stupid, so to speak. Oh, slack. Why did I put that in? Look what I just did. Here we go. Well, I can just go to the book. Baruch 2. I'm not sure which scripture it is. Oh, Yahweh, our power, thou hast dealt with us after all thy goodness and according to all that great mercy of thine, as thou spakest by the servant Moses in the day when thou didst command him to write the law before the children of Israel, saying, if ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number amongst the nations where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves. And you see how those small hats they can't apply this to themselves. You know, there's nowhere in history where they can apply this to themselves. Some devils, man. Where they gonna come out of the Caucasus Mountains? They remembered themselves in the Caucasus Mountains. That cracks me up. You're the charms. That was part of them curses. We're going to cease from our heritage. I'm not going to get the scriptures. But anyway. So. Shalom.